There is one massive mistake that almost everyone makes when they get to the rowing machine. If you just picked up your own machine or you're thinking about getting yourself into rowing because you've heard how great it is, number one, good job. But number two, let's talk about what that issue really is to make sure that it doesn't hold you back from getting the most out of your workouts. Let's get into it. There are a litany of issues that can come with a rowing machine because it's a learned movement. Nobody sits down on this machine and does it right the first time naturally. You have to have somebody show you how the movement works to make sure that you're just doing it right. And that's not your fault. That's our fault. That's rowing's fault. The problem of rowing and a sliding seat, it just doesn't become a natural movement. So taking in a little bit of education up front goes a long ways in making sure that you burn more calories, get better workouts, and have more fun while you're doing it. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm Shane Farmer, and this is Dark Horse, where you build the life that you want to live, and we just happen to use rowing to help you get there. So what is this incredibly common mistake that is made among so many people when they're getting their start on the rowing machine? Well, it's lifting up your heels. Seems simple enough. And yet the issue with lifting up your heels comes down to the fact that it creates a whole upstream or downstream impact on the way your body moves on the machine. Now, overall, when we talk about the rowing stroke, is lifting your heels wrong? The answer is no. It is not wrong to lift your heels when you're rowing. However, lifting your heels when you're just getting started on the movement, when it's not done intentionally, creates this whole upstream, downstream effect where the body starts contorting into positions that we don't want it to be in. All of that leads into just worse workouts, a lack of connection to the machine, which leads to frustration, which leads to not using the machine for workouts anymore. And that's the last thing we want. I want you to be getting a great workout. After all, you bought this thing for a reason. So let's help you get the most out of it, and let's just fix that issue to get started. Now, many in the rowing world may disagree with me on that, and this is totally okay. This is all open for discussion, but in my experience, being able to teach you how to keep your heels down is meant to teach you how to put your body into the right position. Therefore, later on, you can intentionally lift your heels when you understand how your body is supposed to move through space and time, which is the biggest hurdle to overcome. So if we can keep your heels down at the beginning, then you can do it intentionally later when you understand why. So let's jump to the machine and take a quick look as to what lifting the heels does, and then we'll take a look at how we fix it. So what we're talking about here is just a very simple change, and yet it's such a small part of the stroke that can have such a big impact. It is that heel lift right there. It's that gap that gets created between the heels and the base of the footboards, and mostly unintentionally. And why unintentionally? Well, because nobody has ever, unless you've been around the sport of rowing, it's not a natural movement, it's a learned behavior. It's not like a bicycle where it guides your legs through, or running or walking, which you've just done as a human being. You have to learn where to put your body in space and time in this stroke. And what happens is that by the heels lifting, because very naturally the body is just told, okay, I'm sliding forward, I need to collapse, right? I need to just get into a deep position here. But the problem is that when the heels lift unintentionally, it causes the body to morph into shapes that are not impactful, meaning it doesn't allow you to get the most out of the stroke or be effective. And so what we're going to focus on is how do we change these strokes so that when you come up, you're not bringing the seat to the heels or living here in the stroke. This stroke right here is one where you are not burning as many calories as you want, not finding efficiency, and it's gonna be frustrating and a setback to your performance. So how do we fix this, and why do we fix this? Well, number one, by bringing the heels down, it's going to give you an entire platform to drive through, meaning the legs, we say push, don't pull for a reason. It's because you push through the legs, you don't pull the handle. So you're always trying to push the machine away from you. Well, it's very hard to push the machine away from you if you're only pushing through your toes and the heels never touch the ground. If you're ever trying to create like explosive movement, you need to be able to drive through the whole foot. Now, in sprinting, for example, yeah, you're on the ball of your foot, but your foot is tensioned to create that spring off of the ground. Well, in this instance, this isn't tension, this is just relaxed. My posterior chain, my whole backside is soft and relaxed in position. So instead what we wanna do is plant that heel because it allows me to push through the whole foot, which engages my calves, my hamstrings, my butt, my back, and engages a lot more of the body. That creates a more full body movement and gives me more value to every single stroke. I get more out of it, my workouts are better. To try and put it in plain English. The other piece of this is that by putting the heels down, it almost forces us into the right position. We don't want to collapse and get as deep as possible into the stroke at all costs. Length is only good if it's good length, meaning that you want to be as long as you can in the stroke, but you want to do it in good position. If you just give up positioning like posture or the heels, those things are going to create a detriment to the stroke because that depth no longer has impact because my body gets soft, and so now it can't do a lot of work because it's not tensioned, it's not put in the right position to move properly and give me good mechanics and again, more drive through the stroke. So what we're going to do to fix this is we're gonna bring in a little tool that you may have, and if you don't have it, it's okay. I'm gonna give you certain options that you can use to help you work on this drill. This tool, a handy dandy band. You may or may not have this around. If you don't, just find a long towel, that will work well. You can use a rope if you have a good strong rope around, but all that we're trying to do is create a block on the seat. So here's the deal. I take this band and I loop it around the rail on my machine, okay? By looping it around the rail and then tightening it, what it does is it creates a break. I can't slide my seat past the band. Now here's where the detail comes in. You're going to set up on your machine, you're gonna loosen the band, and you're gonna get yourself into the deepest catch position possible with the heels down. That would be nice straight back, trying to get my shins as vertical as I can. Don't worry about if you're in the same depth of stroke as I am. It's you against you, not you against me. So find the deepest position possible and try to emulate my position. You're gonna hold that position, put the handle down. Now I'm gonna take the band, slide it back to where the rollers on my seat are. I'm going to scoot back just a ½ inch, and then I'm going to tighten it down. So I've now marked where my perfect catch is. And what I'm gonna do is then just row. You can pick any workout you want. I would advise maybe choosing one of our beginner workouts to follow along with. And you're gonna set that band on the seat. And what that's gonna do is stop you from collapsing into the stroke. Collapsing would be sliding in seat first, right? Or giving up your posture as you come in. It's going to anchor you into the right position. And whenever I take a stroke, it's going to stop me before I go too far. It's essentially saving me from myself. And you do this long enough, you do this for 3 10-minute workouts or a 30-minute workout, your body's going to start to learn, oh, okay, that's as far as I need to go right now. And then your goal is to learn, how do I now push through the whole leg? How do I engage the whole leg? How do I retrain my body or remap my body to keep the heel in place so that as I slide forward, I'm ready and I can push through the heel, the midfoot, and the ball of the foot at the same time at first. And then what you'll start to learn is, how do I press through the ball of the foot, then roll onto the rest of the foot. And as you improve, you can just take that band, slide it forward. And now you get a little bit deeper. And the first few times you'll hit it, and that's okay, you're learning where it is. And then you just start to try and get as close as possible without touching it or without slamming into it. So once you've learned, you then scoot it forward a little bit more, retighten it down. I think you're probably getting the drift at this point. But what this does is this retrains your catch position and it teaches you to keep the heels down. And by keeping the heels down, you are teaching yourself to be in better body position, how to push through the entire leg and use more of your body for the stroke, create better efficiency, and now you know, okay, keeping the heel down is good at first, but then over time, once I know that I'm not accidentally going to lift my heel too much at the catch position, once I know how do I take a good stroke, well, now you can allow the heel to lift to get maybe 2 more inches of depth in the catch, because now you understand, I push through the ball of the foot, I roll through the midfoot, and then I drive through the heel, creating an entire leg drive through the machine. And that is where the victory happens, is once you start getting to that point, you'll watch my workouts, you're gonna notice my heel lifts maybe an inch and a half. It just flashes, and then I re-drive down through the whole foot. And that, my friends, is why as you add this in and as you improve, learning how to eliminate that heel lift early on is going to save you from the heartache of getting frustrated on this machine, not feeling like you ever connect, and feeling like it's just an inefficient black hole of energy. What's most important about what you just learned is that you actually put it into play in practicality. Don't just watch the video and then walk away. The only way to improve this is to put yourself in the physical position in which you learn and your body learns, meaning your brain feels what your body is doing, your body connects back to the brain and the body connect to the machine. You get the picture. You have to do it in reality for it to make sense and for your body to learn. So everything that we just went over, make sure that you not only think about it, but go to your machine and now do it. And having done that, you will see the change that comes because of it. As I mentioned in the beginning, many in the rowing community may actually disagree with me on the keeping the heels down to start format. So with that being said, let's open up the discussion in the comments below. What is the best way to help somebody get started on the rowing machine? And let's hear, number one, what has been your experience? If you're watching this for the first time and you're starting to learn on the machine, or maybe that you just recently went through this, what's been your experience? How have you found your way to good mechanics? And if you're 20 years into this, then what have you done that has practically applied to somebody who's new that you found a lot of success with? If you found this helpful and useful for you in your journey on the rowing machine, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you can get alerted when we come out with our next video. Don't forget to hit that bell next to it as well. And if you want more follow-up information and you're in that beginner stage, check out this playlist of beginner workouts that we have to help you along your way.